Testing. All right. I think the stream is on. What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Chris is here, back with another video, 100 Agency. I might go through a name change sometime in the future, but for right now, I'm going to keep it like that. This is going to be another live stream where I just keep y'all updated on my level of astrological knowledge I have been acquiring over these past couple months, and to let y'all know some more discoveries into how and why astrology works. And then at the end of my rant, I'm going to look at the transiting chart for right now and give a basic reading for all 12 signs, just to test my ability to know and show and prove that I can do this for other people as well. So if you are in the chat, and if you want to leave your birthday and get a quick sample, because as of right now, I am not taking readings. As of right now, I am not doing full-on readings, but I can give you a quick sample, and you can confirm or deny to me my level of accuracy in the science. And I plan to go out in public, in areas where my chart tells me I can go to get positive reception and keep learning. So let's get right into it. Astrologically, astrology is ruled by the sign of Aquarius, which is the planet Uranus. Now, before we even discovered the planet Uranus, people were still using astrology, right? And I bring that up to let you know this. Astrology is the fundamental and primary science of timekeeping, data keeping, understanding the world around you. It's the fundamental basis of science, period. Before all other sciences, the first generations of humans, as far back as we can date, were using a variation of astrology. Because when you think of astrology, you have to think of it in these type of terms. Ancients, our ancestors long before us, were going about their lives trying to innovate and understand the world around them so they can learn when to farm, hunt, what natural disasters were on their way. So over time, and it is speculated, especially by the person who taught me, that it may have been the women who started to really track and look at the motions of the planets and the stars around them before the men. Because as the men were going out to do the hunting, the women had to stay home to take care of the children. So it is predicted that they might have been the first to start to even realize that there is a correlation between what is going on above us and what is happening in our natural reality. Humans have always had an ability to put pieces together, to link one thing to another. And that is the fundamental basis of astrology. Astrology and how it has come to the forefront of how it is being used today just came from regular people of that time, like us, looking at things happening around us in our lives and trying to put together a correlation between what is happening around us and what is happening to us. That explanation right there is how science works, period. Science is observing what is going on around us observing what is happening to us, and then going out your way to try to test, prove or disprove if what you assumed to be happening to be true or not. That is the fundamental basis of all science. And the first science to ever use it to that extent was astrology. Astrology started off as people just looking as far as they could see with their naked eye up into the stars and seeing what correlations it had to the environment around us here today. And over the course of tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of years, we still use it to this day. Back then, if you could not even use or come to an understanding of how the heavenly bodies above you even moved, you weren't even allowed to make predictions. You weren't even allowed to make predictions. You had to first understand how the motions of the planets move before you were even allowed to try to predict somebody. You had to understand the dynamics of how a day worked. Most people today who do astrology don't know this about astrology because, again, not everybody was allowed to do it back then. Only those who could keep the knowledge sacred could do it. Astrology is not a pseudoscience. It is not something that just applies to everybody. It does, for a fact, apply to everybody, but there is scientific basis behind it. If you were to go out and track the moon, for instance, and you were to look how the moon moves through your own life, you would see patterns going on every time the moon was in a specific location relative to your own chart. You would be able to see that. Just because the moon, at first glance, you may say is just a body in the sky, it has nothing to do with us. Is the moon in itself causing you to go outside and have a swing of emotions per se? No, it's not. But every time that moon is in a certain position in the sky, certain emotional events, certain events surrounding your family, certain events surrounding your home, certain events surrounding women in your life will take place. That is what the science can confirm. That is how the science works. Hundreds and thousands of years of just observing what is going on in the sky and seeing how it's happening to us physically and in our environment, even psychologically, emotionally, all that. We've been keeping track of that data for countless generations. It is a science at this point. That's how all science works. Physics, astronomy, aerodynamics is all people who had to first view and come to an understanding. Oh, that's how a bird can fly. That's how we do it. Oh, that's how an apple can fall to the ground. Well, let's try it again. That's how we do it. Countless years of testing, looking at certain results and seeing it happen over and over and over again. That's how you come to the basis of the science. And it works so well, astrology, that even if you're a person who knows absolutely little to nothing about how astrology actually works at all, if you were to get a reading by someone who's even a basic level amateur, you would find that it actually correlates to your life. You would find that people can make a living off this for 20, 30, 40 plus years and barely know a thing about astrology. And because there are so many people walking around who truly don't understand how the motions work, how the math behind it all works, you will have scientists come out and be like, astrology is not real. This person who got a reading, oh, it's a placebo effect. It's not real. It's not rigid enough. They don't really know what they're talking about. This could apply to anybody and anything. Right. If you're a person who doesn't really know how the science works and you're just doing what somebody else tells you to do, or if you read in a book Mars means fire, and Mars in when it's in the fourth house, which is the home. Well, you're gonna say, well, Mars is fire, the fourth house is the home. Would you look at that? I read that in somebody else's chart. They had a house fire that day. You will see something like that in somebody's chart. You will be able to read that to a certain extent in your chart, but you don't know why Mars is the keyword for fire. You don't know why the fourth house means the home or the family. You'll read it in somebody else's book, somebody else's interpretation of what they picked up in their life watching these planets. Then you'll go try it yourself and be like, it works. And then off that alone, this is how you get 95 to 99% of astrologers that we have here today, which cannot explain to scientists fully how the science works, because it's based off this basic principle that most astrologers goes off. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I can read what somebody else says and I try what they say and it works, it's just true. They never go, or most astrologers don't go deeper into how did these astrologers that I'm reading, how did they even come to get these planets to mean what they mean? How do they know at this natal chart, how does it even work? When I go online and I type in my natal chart date, what do all these numbers mean? Where did they get all these symbols? How did they even make this chart? People don't want to go further than what works for them on the surface. And again, to somebody who knows nothing about astrology, if you were to get a reading from somebody, they will be able to tell you stuff with pretty accurate results. But if you want to know in specifics, if somebody's going to say, oh, I see a house fire in your chart. Okay, when? That is what truly separates an experienced astrologer from somebody who just is putting keywords together that they read in a book. They can't tell you specifically when the house fire is going to happen or when the indication for a house fire is going to happen. They cannot tell you specifically when you're going to have an opportunity for money. Venus is money. Jupiter is opportunity, luck, winning. They might see Jupiter coming into the second house, which rules Venus. So they say, oh, you have an opportunity to win money. When? When exactly? Most astrologers, if you try to go to them for that level of detail, they'll tell you some general random period of time. They don't even know how long it takes for the planet Venus to go through a house. They don't even know the motion of the planet Venus in the first place. How long are you going to have that period of time where you can get benefits from money? How long are you going to have that period of time where you're going to be lucky and be able to win? This is why when a scientist may look at this astrology, they'll be like, it's not real. This is why, because even in the off chance they do go to an astrologer, which is just for the most part people just reading out of a book, they can't break down the actual scientific basis around it. They don't know that far into it. They only know what they can see in a birth chart. If you want to see the science of astrology, you need to understand the mechanics of a day. I'll give you a question. How many minutes are there in a day? If you don't know that answer off the top of your head, you can't consider yourself an astrologer or somebody who really even knows what's going on in your life. Think about it this way. You may be 30 years old. You've been on the planet for 30 years, having a sunrise, sunset every single day without fail for 30 years, but yet you don't even know how long it takes for the sun to go throughout a day. And I'm going to give you the answer. It takes 1,440 minutes for the sun to go around, or for the earth to make a full rotation from sunrise to sunset all the way back. 1440. It's things like this. They're called celestial mechanics. You need to understand how a day works, how an hour works, how the moon goes through the zodiac, how each and every single planet goes through the zodiac. You need to have a fundamental understanding of how the planets move, because it's from that motion of the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. It is from those motions and the math we derive from those motions that we get the accuracy. It is not that Uranus just means car accidents or calamity. They mean those things because ancient astrologers realize every time this planet comes into this path, let's say this is the sun, they realize this is the sun, this is the earth, this is the planet Uranus. They realize every time the earth is here relative to the sun, and every time the planet Uranus is here relative to the sun, these events always take place. And after countless generations of tracking that, they were able to realize when Mars is here, that means fire. When the moon is here, that means water. When Mercury is here, that means writing, pens, paper, books. This is how we derive those keywords. Most astrologers don't even know past that. They just know this keywords mean this, and when they see it in the chart, just tell somebody that, and they're going to get a level of accuracy. So that's twofold, because astrology is so universally accurate that, again, you could just look at a keyword and you're going to get something right. You could sit there and look at a transiting chart. You're going to find something right. But if you don't truly know how the planets move, if you don't truly know how a day works, you can't go further than those keywords. And you will never be able to tell somebody or predict in your own personal life within the hour of exactness when somebody can do this, when somebody's going to do that, when you're going to face difficulties in your life, when you're going to face benefits in your life too. This is what separates somebody who's just an average, everyday astrologer versus somebody who truly understands it as a science. And it's part of my job, that's something that I want to do, is bring this back into the forefront as an actual science, because it's been lost over the years and people don't realize how deep astrology goes. Every single last, for example, religion has a basis of astrology in it. Whether you're reading the Torah, the Bible, or Quran, all of them give mentions of God telling people to use astrology, of God telling people to look at the stars to find events in reality. But most people, because of their pastors, their cultures, or things like that, may have been told, or astrology is paganism, it's not real, da 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 da, it's evil. So you have now modern day scientists saying astrology isn't real, and you're having religious people saying astrology isn't real, when in all reality, astrology brought science to where it is today, and brought religion to where it is today. It's ironic, really. It's ironic, really. For example, people who are scientists, you're gonna have to do math. You're gonna have to be able to use math to use science, right? Let me talk about the number pi, 3.14, and you go on and on and on. Did you know we as humans derived the number for pi from astrology? Mercury takes 22 days to go around the zodiac or around the sun. And it does this 7 days per week. 22 divided by 7 is 3.145, not going on. We derived the number from pi from looking at the planets and observing things, not the other way around. I just realized and figured that out too from my mentor, who told me that, because he's been studying it recently. Astrology is real because whenever or whatever motion of the planet is going on is going to affect your life. Let me break it down to you even more simply. You are made up of atoms, cells, molecules, everything. Everything in this universe is connected. Can everybody just agree on that? Whether you're you're a scientist, you're a person who's an expert in religion, can everybody agree that everything in the universe is made up of the same stuff, at least, right? I think we all can universally agree on that. So if we are all made up of everything that is the exact same in the universe, how can you say for a fact where a planet is in the sky will not give indication, not say control you, we're not saying control, whenever this body of atoms is in the sky using its force, its mass, its gravity, its electromagnetic frequencies, how can you say for a fact it cannot or will not affect you? You are made up of the exact same hydrogen atoms, oxygen atoms, carbon atoms, molecules, electrons as everything else in the universe. But for some reason, miraculously, you don't have a connection to anything going on in this universe. That fundamentally, whether you're religious or not, whether you're scientific or not, does not make sense if everybody can agree that we are. It just doesn't make any sense. The only logical conclusion is everything is connected. Most people, which I can't blame them for, don't know how. When you study actual astrology and get into the math and science of it, you'll realize if you study the motions of every single last planet, you will come to the conclusion when certain planets goes in their fixed orbits around the sun, certain events will happen not only in your life, your family's life, your friends' lives, everybody else's lives around you, because we are all connected and just moving together in unison. It's like one big system. Whether you believe in a God or not, it is one big system that just moves in tandem. That is what astrology tells you and shows you how to do. So you can see those motions, so you can see those things, so you can start putting the puzzle pieces together and come to a proper conclusion about your life. Let me go into some astrological knowledge for you guys. The moon is the mother, and it's also the ruler of the fourth house. Did you know I don't even need to look at your mom's birth chart? Or let me say it this way. You don't want to give me your birth chart for some reason. That's fine. I'm going to ask you, give me a birth chart of your parent, your father, your mother, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, your sister. Did you know I could look at your mother's chart, right? I could look at your mother's chart. Let's say you're her first child. I could look at your mother's chart and from her chart, go to the place of children, go to the place of her first child. And I could read her chart based off of that first child is going to describe you. I could read my chart. I've been doing this for weeks now. I could read my chart and go to the place of the father, which is the 10th house, and read my chart based off the 10th house and see what situations are going to be happening to my dad. Just yesterday, for an example, I did my chart and I saw something having to do with Jupiter, which is vehicles, and I saw Venus, which is nature, trees, plants, in Aries, fire, poking, stabbing, things like that. Lo and behold, my mom tells me, oh, your dad got a flat tire. Flat tire. Jupiter is vehicles. Jupiter represents the nurturing father. Venus in Aries, Venus is sticks, trees, nature, and Aries is puncturing, all of that. As soon as he gets home, I ask him, what happened to your tire? He's like, oh, it got punctured by a tree branch. It got punctured by a tree branch. I can't make this up. I can't make this up. Wherever the planets are in your chart will give indication to things happening in your life, around your life, and in society as a whole. And getting enough experience at it, you do enough research, you will be able to tell, for example, when certain events could happen. You will never, like all science, there is no science that can tell you 100%, 100% of the time, consistently, every single time without fail, what is something going to happen exactly. Gravity tells me if I have a coin, right? If I have a coin, gravity tells me if I flip the coin up, it's going to fall back down, right? Ask a scientist to tell you if it was heads or tails. If I flip this coin 400 times, 400 times, science is going to tell you through gravity, the coin is going to go up and it's going to go back down. That is going to be accurate. And it may even tell you if you flip it 400 times, about 50% of the time is going to be heads, it's going to be tails. Each and every single time I flip that coin, I want you to ask scientists to tell me exactly if it's going to, when it's going to land heads, when it's going to land tails. You can't do that. I can confirm to you, you flip that coin up, it's going to go down. I can do that. I can even tell you, if you tell me the amount of times you flip it, it should be about a 50-50% ratio. I can even do that. Science will never be able to tell you. You flip it this time, it's going to be heads. You flip it that time, it's going to be tails. 100% accurate. It will never be able to do that. Same thing with astrology. If you're having a Mars, for instance, fire, activity, quick, annoying, martial arts, fighting, all of that. I just gave you about, what, 6-7 keywords for Mars? 6-7 keywords for Mars. Okay, that's one planet. All right, let's say it's in the third house. That's writing. Employees, pens, papers. You may be quick to write something. Okay, now I'm giving you a little bit more detail because I use more than just one planet. All right, let's say it's in a square to let's say it's a square to Uranus. A square from the third house is the sixth house. That's the house of work. Uranus is shock. You were writing something quickly and something shocked you, or a shocking situation. You see how many variables come into place? I only talked about 2 planets and 2 signs. There are, in the science that I use, in the particular branch of astrology I use, there are like 14 different aspects you can use. 10 of them are planets, and there are 12 signs. And multiple things can point to the same thing. There are more than 12 different ways you can look in an astrological chart, and it will all say the same thing, just slightly differently. Aries is fire, Venus is money, or you say Venus is a tree. Aries in the second house is the same thing as Venus in the first. Those two give indication to the exact same thing. That's another reason why science will tell you astrology can't be real, because it's not rigid enough for them. Science, it has to be this particular way, this particular bracket, and if you fall outside of these rules, the science must fail. All these rules and regulation that came after you found out the science was even a thing somehow has to determine the science now. All these regulations you made after the science was already proclaimed to be true, for some reason that has to dictate the science. No, that's not how science works, period. You find a correlation of something in reality, you go test it out, and you see if what you're seeing gives indication to that thing. That's it. What I'm talking about is people doing scientific bias. And this is a real thing that happens. Scientists will go out their way to try to prove something they believe to be true. And when they go out and disprove it, they try to go out there and prove it to be true, and they find out all the information that they got around it was wrong, they will actually throw away what they actually believe. They will actually throw away what they find to be true just to go with what they believe. That is scientific bias. That is scientific bias. And people have to be wary about that thing. People have to, you gotta humble yourself to realize this, your work, your craft, whatever you're doing, is much bigger than you. It will be here and it will be around much later than you. Because people get in their ego, which is the sun, ruler of the fifth house. People will get in their ego and think, oh, I went to medical school for 12, 13 years. You can't tell me nothing about injuries. The eighth house is injuries, scars, wounds. If that doctor gives me their birth chart and their correct date and time, I can tell them every single year of their life what injury they had. Literally. My mentor has done it before. You can go watch again. Cosmo361. Just go on his Instagram, watch any of his live videos. You can, if you study astrology, it will not for a second, make you automatically, have the ability to be a surgeon, but you will be able to see everything that a surgeon sees. It's not going to automatically make you the greatest fighter in the world, but you can tell and see what a fighter is going through. There was a period in time, a couple thousand years ago, when ancient Africans were expected across the entire continent, across the entire community and culture, to understand and have the science down pat. You were expected to know how to do this. You were expected to know how to do this. Again, it's like, it is the foundational science that proves all others wrong. Well, it doesn't prove all others wrong. Let me not say that. It is the foundational science that which all other sciences are derived from. It's the original data keeping book for us to even make our scientific claims that we do today. It is the original thing. Pastors and preachers and prophets in all of these Bibles and things like that, they were astrologers. When a flood season was coming, all those things like that were going on, the village of the time, the belief of the time, they would go to their preacher, they would go to their teacher and ask the teacher what things are going on, what would the weather pattern be like, what event should I be worried for in my life. Those were astrologers. But since they were preachers and they had power over the people, they realized, okay, I don't need to quote unquote lie to people per se, but not everybody's going to want to even go to the level of detail that I'm talking about to learn the science. So I'm going to down pat, make it more simplified version of the science that I'm teaching and throw it into the Bible or throw it into the Torah or Quran. Let me give you an example. The 10 Commandments. First commandment, love no other God before me. The sun is the brightest star in our sky. It is the closest star. It is the star that generates life for us on this planet, and is the star in which each and every single planet rotates. Astrology that we have today is based on our geometry around the sun. Even in the Bible, it might say there are more than one God or thing, whatever. Yeah, there are multiple stars. There are multiple galaxies. There are multiple solar systems. Our astrology is based on our solar system. Our astrology is based on the laws of the star, the God, which is Leo, fifth house, the sun, governing us. 2, honor your parents. That's the moon. Moon is parenting. Moon is nurturing. Honor thy father and thy mother. That's parents. Parenting, moon. 3 or 4, I don't remember exactly which one. Thou shalt not kill. Killing is Mars. Murder is Mars. Thou shalt not steal. Stealing is Mercury. and going on and on and on and on and on. We've been knew about this. We just didn't know how to use it. And people who know about the science over the years can sometimes get corrupted by the power. Scorpio can get corrupted by the power and will sprinkle in truth with a lot of doctrine that they want that only benefits them and doesn't really benefit the people. And when somebody doesn't question how does something work, why does something work, if they don't go out their way to figure out why something is actually working and instead just do it because it works for them, you're not going to really get anywhere. Example, I can teach somebody how to drive a car. That doesn't mean they're a mechanic. If I teach somebody how to drive a car and it breaks down on the road, I don't even necessarily know if that kid I may have just taught her kid who just started getting the permit even knows how to change a flat tire yet, if their parents didn't show it to them. And let it be a worse problem like fixing the engine or the transmission. They can't do a thing about it, but they can drive just fine every single day. No problem, no car accidents, nothing. This is where the state of astrology is today. And this is why most people don't really consider it a science. Because the people who are using it are like the example I just said. They know how to drive a car. They don't know what makes a car work. Anybody can drive a car. It's really the aspect of driving is like second nature. Anybody can read a birth chart. Anybody could look at keywords, see a transiting chart and be like, okay, this, has any of these things possibly could happen to you? And they'd be like, yeah, if you don't know anything about astrology. Anybody can do that. But lo and behold, what would happen if your car were to break down? Lo and behold, what would happen if your computer shut off right now and you didn't have that chart? Could you go outside like the ancients used to do and get somebody's birthday and read that chart for them? If that computer were to shut off, if you did not have access to those books that you had, do you really know your astrology like that? Do you really know how to use the science like that? I've heard and looked at some scientists themselves who will go out their way to like debate flat earthers and things like that. And I'm like, I know those pseudosciences aren't real. Astrology works on the motion of the sun and the earth going around the sun and the earth spit. Everything in astrology is based off the world being round and going through a circular motion. Astrology only works if the world is circular, and by doing the science literally every day and seeing the results without fail, the earth is not flat. For anybody who may have had theories about flat earth, it's not flat. But I would see those same scientists in their videos bring out hundreds of pieces of information to disprove why the world isn't flat, then go on to make a 5-10 minute video. They will have an hour-long video taking out flat earthers, but they will only spend 5-10 minutes, maybe 20 something minutes tops, making a video about how astrology isn't real. They bring up no information. They don't know anything outside of their sun sign. They don't know the first thing about how to demonstrate astrology because they just automatically write it off in their mind as not even a science. And all of them will do the same thing. They will bring up this fake study that everybody who took astrology and they were given random readings from astrology, all came out with the same results. I've actually looked online to see if that studies exist. I can't find it anywhere. I've looked on Wikipedia. I looked on blog articles. I've looked up everything that I could to find people who bring up that article so I can read it myself to see what they were doing, to see if they were doing astrology or not. I can't even find it. It doesn't even exist. Every website I would click to would just be somebody writing about the article existing or somebody doing a podcast talking about how the article exists. Nobody had an actual link to the article even existing. And this is what I'm talking about. Everybody puts their ego in place. They automatically believe what they've been told their entire life, or they automatically want to just put aside something that they have been taught against, whether through their religions or through their modern westernized belief in science, and just try to dismiss something without knowing the first thing about it themselves. And again, of course, I already told you, anybody could look at a transiting chart with little to absolutely no knowledge of astrology and give you a reading that is correct. Yes, same way anybody can hop in a car, even if they don't have a license, they practice long enough, they can drive. Yes. What's your point? Anybody can pick up this right now, drop it on the ground. Yes, gravity. Does that mean I'm a gravitational scientist? Does that mean I know 9.81 meters per second squared is gravity? Per se, if I know that? No. So that's a weak argument in itself, even without the use of astrology. But that is just to let people know that this is for a fact a science. This is the first science that brought out everything else you can think about. Numerology, gematria, the study of pi, the study of the golden ratio. If you really were to look and understand the motions of the planets and decide to put the math to it, you would see. And math is governed by Saturn. Math is governed by Saturn. Division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, the four basics of math, all types of mathematics, accounting, all of that having to do with numbers is all Saturn. Remember, the same mind that you are using here today, the same mind that you're using is made up of the same stuff that makes up the entire universe. Is made up of the same things that make up the entire universe. Same atoms, same molecules, same particles. They make it all up. You are as connected to this universe as anybody else. You are not separate from it. And if you believe you are, I'm going to need you to bring some proof. Because belief in something is not knowledge. Knowledge is the 11th house, and belief is the 12th house. Knowledge is Neptune. Nope, knowledge is Aquarius. Belief is Neptune. Every single thing that you can think of, whether physical or mental, is given indication to by a planet. Because again, we're not made of different stuff. And I'm going to preface this again. The planets do not control what you do. The planets move in correlation alongside with, into exactment with the things that are happening to you in your life. For all the religious people out there who may watch this, God created the heaven and the earth. Heavens and the earth. Jesus said in a line in the Lord's Prayer, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, da, 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 da. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven." Freemasons and people may believe as above, so below. What is all of that trying to tell you? That's all astrological principle. All of it. What is going on up there is exact same thing going on down here. But not in the sense that there are people walking up in the heavens right now. The planets are not angels. They are not demons. They're not none of that. When certain planets are in certain geometrical angles, geometrical positions from the sun in triangulation to the earth, only a certain few number of events will actually take place in reality. You have to understand the mechanics, celestial mechanics. You got to understand them if you truly want to be an astrologer and not be a charlatan. If you truly want to be an astrologer. Because it used to urge me, because I really only started astrology about a year and like 8 months ago, when I really started to take this seriously. And at first, like most people, I would just watch other astrologers, watch countless hours of watching them. Again, if you're just somebody who's brand new to astrology and you watch any regular astrologer, any tiny little piece of information they're going to tell you, you're going to see results. You're going to understand the keywords that they're saying. You're just going to understand it. It's going to resonate to you, because that's how deep rooted and accurate the science is. But they're not as pro astrologers as they may even lead you to believe, because after countless hours and hours of watching each and every single last one of them trying to understand the science, I started to realize they didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't understand the math behind it. They didn't even talk about the math behind it. I would buy courses by some of these people. I would buy courses, and they didn't teach me anything. They taught me the bare minimum that I could have gone to Google and learned. I'm like, this isn't the math. This isn't how the chart works. He don't really know what he's talking about. And I would get into fights with them on Instagram, being like, oh, this is a waste of time, money, da 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 da. They tried to make fun of me. I showed them the receipts. I've been buying your content for a while. You didn't really teach me anything. Lo and behold, I find the mentor that I'm learning today. I learned more in 2 days from the mentor I have now than anybody I've ever seen do this astrology stuff. And guess what I had to learn for me to really understand how this works? The math. I had to be willing to learn the math. I had to be willing to learn the motions of the planets, how things actually work on a regular, everyday, 24-hour basis. When I started to understand that, boom, now I can really understand astrology. And it's not even been a full year, and I am better. I am literally better than all those other astrologers that I was watching the year prior. It's crazy. But that's a proof of the science. And what I'm going to do right now is I got a transiting chart open. It is set to Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to give a quick reading for everybody, all 12 signs, going by their planets and what things should be happening to you or have already happened and take place in the last hour or so. And if I have time, or if I'm still feeling up to it, I'm going to fast forward to the start of Libra season, which is going to be September 22nd. And I'm going to tell y'all what's going to happen when the sun goes 0 degrees Libra. But that's if we have time. I'm not going to go in exact order because right now, Sagittarius should be rising. But everything that I'm going to say is just, again, a general 5-minute reading for everybody. And it's going to apply an hour back right now, or it's going to happen in the next hour. Right now, starting off with Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius risings. The first house, you have nothing going on in your first house right now. In the second house, you have Capricorn. In Capricorn, you have Pluto. Pluto is obsession. Pluto is drive. It is power. It is death, birth, revival, cemetery, funerary homes. And it is in the second house, which is nature, money, banking. Maybe you're going out somewhere and you're near a bank, and you may have a bank near a funeral home. That's a physical way it can manifest. Or you may be hating or resenting a situation going on with food, money right now, things of that nature. Third house is writing, speaking, communication, thinking. Your third house is Aquarius right now. So right now you are listening. If you're watching this right now in your third house, you're listening to a Gemini. Third house is Gemini. I'm a Gemini, teaching you about the math. Saturn is in the third house of astrology. You are literally listening to a Gemini tell you about the math of astrology, and I'm being serious about it. Also Saturn. Fourth house is the home, family, mother. And in your fourth house, you have the moon and you have Neptune in it. The moon in the fourth house is going to, again, talk about family, is going to talk about water, nurturing, protection, women of all kinds, older women, elder women, things like that, younger women, and having Neptune in it. Neptune in it. The fourth house of Sagittarius is Pisces. So with Pisces being into Pisces is dreams, imaginations. It is beliefs. It is sound, all types of sound, vibratory frequencies, dancing, music. Maybe you're at home right now, you're listening to music. Maybe you're at home right now with family members. You have family members in your house listening to music. You have family members are now, it is sleeping. You may have a mother at home or something who is sleeping, or a woman who is sleeping in the house right now. Something to do with the family in the home, and especially with Pisces being there as well. Again, that is either music, you're out by the ocean or the sea. You could be outside, ocean, seafood restaurant with a woman, a mother figure of that nature. Fifth house is Leo, the sun. In the fifth house right now is Jupiter, which is joy, which is happiness, winning, luck. You may be laughing right now, joyous. It is the fifth house in itself is immaturity. It is immaturity. It is fun, being woke, the woke state of mind, the heart, the spine. It is strength. It represents God. So right now, Chiron is there as well, which means wounds, which means you may be suffering some sort of wounds regarding children right now. Maybe like you may be suffering some wounds that you may be remembering from when you were a teenager. Something having to do with big, merciful, grand. You may have been nice to a child, Sagittarius. You may have been merciful to a child. You may be playing with a child right now, having fun, laughing with a child, because something may have happened to you or a child, which in the situation you're deciding to play with your family, have some fun right now to get away from what was ailing you. Sixth house is the North Node and Uranus. Sixth house is work. It is your work, routine, health, practice. You're working right now. You may be working with a computer. You may be working on technology. You may be working on something of that sort of nature. Sixth house having North Node in it. The sixth house having the North Node could be you're going towards money, your health, working on things of that nature. Seventh house. Seventh house is you have Mars in it. Seventh house is partnerships. You may be thinking about a partnership because you have Gemini there. You may be thinking about a partnership, acting on a partnership, starting to go on a partnership. You may be annoyed at a partner right now. That's the case. It could be. Eighth house you have is empty right now, but that would be Cancer. Ninth house is Leo. Again, you're having fun. You're having fun right now, joyous, laughing, having fun at this moment in time, things of that nature. 10th house is Venus, your Venus in the 10th house. So that could mean difficulty with money, difficulty in nature. Sun in the 10th house could be you are aware of, again, a Virgo. I am a Virgo rising. So Sun in the 10th house right now is a Virgo, giving accurate information on nature, telling you about parties, necessities. Venus is someone you're attracted to. Again, it is also partnerships. So again, having Mars in the 7th house and Venus in the second and Venus in the 10th talks about could be difficulties. Again, annoyance with partners that can bring difficulties, because that's a square. That's a square right there. And they're in mean opposition. The 11th house has Mercury in it, getting information on knowledge, information on partnerships, information on partnerships, something profound, weird, unusual happening to a younger cousin, unusual things happening to a neighbor that you're not realizing, something of that nature. 12th house is clear. Capricorn, you have Pluto on your first. Pluto on your first, Capricorn, is right now you are exercising your power. Right now you could be hating something, resenting something. You can be regeneration. It could be something on the line of again, power dynamics, power in the state. Could be around a cemetery, someplace like that. Second house, you have Saturn in it. Difficulties with money, difficulties with eating. You can be taking your time to eat. It could be something as simple as that. Difficulties with money, and it might be an unusual situation because you have Aquarius as your second house. Third house, Moon in the third house could mean something having to do with the mother in writing. something to do with the mother writing in beliefs, what you believe in at this point in time, something to do with your writing, having to do with the home, writing something about the home, music in the home, writing music about a womanly figure. Fourth house, Capricorn, you could have um, Jupiter in the fourth house. Jupiter is in the fourth house. That means joy at home, laughing at home, jumping, leaping at the house, things of that nature. Chiron in the fourth house means something you cannot do or something you cannot affect regarding your home, regarding a woman, something you just can't control. And Chiron being in Aries means a cut or a burn. Maybe you're annoyed with somebody in your house right now and there's nothing you can do about it. You're angry at them and there's just nothing you can do about it. Being in the sixth house, or the fifth house, you have Uranus right now. That means something weird, unusual, something you're learning the science of strength, science of God, science of how things work and things of that nature. Something unusual, weird, an accident regarding a child, North Node, maybe an explosion. You're on technology, you're having fun with technology right now. Seventh house for Sagittarius, sixth house for having Mars in the sixth house. You're quick to do your work, you're annoyed at your health situation, you're fast when it comes to working out, you're working out hard, you're putting a lot of physical exertion when it comes to working out, things of that nature. Seventh house is clear, eighth house is clear. Ninth house, you have Venus. Venus in the ninth right now. Venus in the ninth, well, is in opposition to Neptune. So I would say usually Venus again is a sign of money, and the ninth house is fortune. But and the sun is there too, so you're actively aware you're in a situation that regards money per se. You're in a situation that regards money. You're in a situation that you're in nature of some sort. You're at a party, you're at an event right now, and you're having fun. It could be a bad thing too, but if it were to be if you wanted to go out and try to play the lotto for instance and get some money, with Neptune being in opposition to it, you may be delusional about something, you may not be unaware of something, you may be unaware that you can play the lottery right now, but it could also mean that if you play the lotto, you could be wrong about your assumption that you're going to win it. So I wouldn't do it, or I wouldn't go after, you know, an opportunity for money with Neptune in opposition. There's just something with Neptune meaning you are unaware of at this moment. And the sun being there too. Your 10th house has Mercury, so you are listening, you're getting information, difficulty with information, difficulty with talking, difficulty with writing. You're hearing I am a Mercury right now, I'm a Mercury person. I am a Gemini and a Virgo. So you're hearing me give serious information about how to deal with money, about parties. I'm being serious and what I'm talking about, things of that nature. These are all keywords that you can use. 12th house or your 11th house at this point has nothing, and your 12th house has nothing. I'm gonna go through this a little bit more quickly. Saturn in the first, Aquarius, difficulties with something right now. Moon and Neptune in the second. That means something to do with you are unaware of something regarding to do with your home. In the second, you have Jupiter in the third. That means you are writing something. You're writing a lot of things, or you're reading something huge right now, and there's nothing. Then there's some sort of wound attached to it for some reason. Something you can't really deal with regarding a cut, paper, scratch, things like that. Maybe the paper may have ripped. Fourth house for you. Fourth house for you is Uranus in the fourth, something weird, unusual you're learning about astrology from your home right now, things of that nature. And anything you can say about Aquarius, you could say about Gemini, their signs of dual affinity, which means Like I said, anything you can say about one, you can usually say about the other. I can get more into that at a different point in time. Fifth house is Mars. Fifth house is Mars. That means you might be having fun. You're doing something activity, maybe doing forceful. You may be fighting in combat. You may be exercising right now. You may be physical, doing some sort of act. Well, not physical per se. You may be again in fighting, combat, in an argument, something that is fun, hot movement. Eighth house. Eighth house. And if anybody at this point wants to drop their birthday again and get a reading, get a quick sample reading, I can do that for you. I can give you a quick sample reading. Let's see. What was I up to? Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 house, nothing. Seventh house is Venus. That has something to do with relationships, money, an event, things of that nature. Eighth house is the sun. You're aware of something that have to do with power struggle, convincing somebody, something to do with a death, talking about a death, a birth, something of that nature. Let's see, 3, 7, 8. Ninth house is Mercury. That's teaching. You're hearing a Mercury right now teach you something. 10th is clear, 11th is clear, 12th you have Pluto. You are unaware of somebody trying to convince you of something, or you're listening to murder music, something of that nature, or maybe dead seafood, something like that. And again, we talked about your first house. Pisces, Jupiter sign Pisces. Pisces moon in your first, Neptune in your first, and Jupiter in your first. Pisces, something to do with the home that you're unaware of, something big having to do with the home that you're unaware of, or something to do with a womanly figure, listening to music and laughing, loud music. You may be at home listening to loud music, something of that nature as well. Chiron in the second is something you cannot do about your financial situation right now. And now something has been cut, something annoying regarding your financial situation right now. You don't know you can't do anything about it at the current moment. Third house is Uranus. You are speaking. You could say you could be speaking over the computer, talking over the computer, something of that nature. Fifth house, no, that's not the fifth house. First, second house, third house, fourth house, you're on Mars in your first house. You may be annoyed at something going on in your home. Fifth house is clear. Sixth house, Venus in the sixth house. That means you're working on money, you're working at an event, you're aiding somebody set up an event, something of that duration. You're working out and you're thinking about food. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case. Seventh house, you have the sun in your seventh house. You're actively looking for a relationship right now. You're aware of something having to do with money, something that have to do with a party. You're actively outside in nature right now, something of that case, something that has to be like that. 10th house, 7th house, 8th house, you have Mercury in the 8th house, so you're listening something powerful. You are listening, you're getting information on something powerful right now. You're probably reading something about murder. You're seeing an ID card of a person who may die. You may be getting a birth of something, birth of information. You might be writing something about death, reading something about death or life, things of that nature, cells, regeneration, all that has to do. Maybe you're working out right now and cells may be dying. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll be destroying cells if you're working out. It could be that place too. Seventh, no, that was the seventh, eighth, ninth house, nothing, 10th house, nothing, 11th house, Pluto. You're learning about the power of astrology right now. 12th house, and something you're unsure of, something painful, you're unsure, you don't know, or you're having a delays with music, delays getting your seafood if you're going to eat something delays in the sea, difficulties if you're trying to drive to the ocean, difficulties with astrology. You may be having something of that nature, because it's also your 12th house would be Uranus, would be Aquarius. Okay, Aries, in your first house, you have Chiron. Some situation right now that you're wounded about, something annoyed you, somebody cut you, you may have a scar, scratch, scrape, something like that, there's nothing you can do about right now. You just gotta let it heal, I guess. Maybe you're working out to get over some sort of problem you may have. That is Mercury. Your opposition to Mercury, maybe somebody, an employee at a job cut you or something, or you know what I'm saying, you're getting in a fight because an employee, something about your work, your practice, your job may have conflicts you or in conflict with you, if something of that nature. Your second house has Uranus in it. Electronic money, something to do with your finances online, maybe checking your bank account statement on your phone, something of that nature. Third house is you have Mars in your third house. Mars in your third house is, I'm drawing a blank for some reason. You're quickly trying to read something, quickly trying to get information on something. You're having a verbal debate or argument of some kind. You may think you're your only friend, something of that nature. I think you're your only friend. Fourth house is clear. Fifth house, Venus in the fifth house. You are having fun with a partner. It's also recreational sex, maybe with a partner, something of that nature. Partner, or yeah. Sixth house, you're actively putting in work, you're actively working on something, you're actively analyzing something, you're actively working out, if that may be the case, something of that nature. Seventh house, you have Mercury, your partner, you're analyzing your partner is criticizing something, your partner is trying to practice something, your partner is reading something right now. Eighth house clear, ninth house clear, 10th house is Pluto. Difficulties with delays when it comes to birth, delays, difficulty with a death, difficulty trying to convince somebody of something. 11th house has Saturn in it. Difficulties with computers, technology, sudden accident or delays in traffic. 12th house is the moon, Neptune, and Jupiter. You may have a mother figure who is sleeping right now, and she's been sleeping for a long period of time. Maybe a loud sleep, maybe snoring, something of that nature. Your home, you have a large house, or you have a large house by the sea or the ocean. You have a womanly figure, or you are a womanly figure going to a large seafood restaurant, or you're in your room, your woman in your room listening to loud music right now, all of that. Or you're having a large dream, you had a dream about something huge having to do with a house, maybe a huge house, something of that nature. Taurus, your first house has Uranus in it. Has Uranus in it. Technology, something to do with technology, traffic, information, intuition, and with the North Node there being there as well too, you're going towards more of a something to do with having to do with your finances, electronic finances. You're going more in that direction, to being more about value, to be more about making money, to be more about celebrations. Second house is Mars. Mars in your second house. You're eating hot food. You're actively out in nature. You're doing something active in nature. Third house is clear. Fourth house is Venus. Money at home. Your mother is at the store. A womanly figure is at the store. Fifth house. Sun is in the fifth house. You may be in your ego right now. You may be conscious of something. You may be exercising your strength. You may be actively having fun. Sixth house. You have Mercury in the sixth right now, which means you're actively working, analyzing, critiquing, reading. You could be at your job right now. You're practicing something, even working out. And it could be in nature because Libra is there. Seventh house clear, eighth house clear, ninth house. Happiness at the fact you convinced somebody, a boss, you convinced a boss to do something. You convinced your boss to probably let you go home. Looking at the opposition to Cancer, convinced your landlord. Tenth house. Saturn in the 10th. Saturn in the 10th. Saturn is where it naturally is in the 10th house. Discipline, disorganization, loss, restrictions, possibly because of a motherly figure, online restriction with technology, possibly from a motherly figure, delays in traffic. You also have the moon who just crossed over into your 10th. So that's why we're bringing up probably delays because of traffic to get home. 11th house, Neptune, is you're unaware of something going on. Electronic music, listening to loud music from a computer, from your phone, from your TV. And 12th house, Chiron, you may sleep because of a cut, a wound, a scar. You may relax because of a certain wound you just acquired. Could be physical because that is Aries. I'm up to Gemini now. And I may cut it short here today. I'm going to tell you how the common affinities work. Because you can listen to, out of the 6 I've already given you, you can go back, listen to one of those 6, and listen to the sign of common affinity, and guarantee you're going to have some sort of similar result in the reading. Since I started at Sagittarius, we're going to go like that, so you can just go in order. Sagittarius, you're going to have a similar reading to Leo. Capricorn, you're going to have a similar reading to Cancer. Aquarius, you're going to have a similar reading to Gemini. Pisces, you're going to have a similar reading to Taurus. And I already read Taurus, so you should have gotten that one already. Aries, you're going to have a similar reading to Libra. Taurus, you're going to have a similar reading to Pisces. So did I read all per se? Let me make sure. I may have to read one more. Again, Aquarius, Sagittarius is Leo. Sagittarius is Leo. That's one. Capricorn is Cancer. That's two. Aquarius is Gemini. That's three. Pisces is Taurus. That's four. Aries is Libra. And that's five. I feel like I'm missing one. Give me a second. And Taurus is Pisces. That's six. Leo is Sag. That's Capricorn. Oh, okay. I'll read one more, actually, because I did miss one. I did, for a fact, miss one. Virgo and Scorpio are another. So I will read, because I did Gemini, which is Aquarius. Did that one. So let me read Virgo right now, and you're going to have a common affinity towards Scorpio. Virgo, your first house has the sun in it and Mercury right now. So you're actively analyzing, you're actively reading, you're actively talking about information, You're writing, you may be exercising, you may be working right now, practicing, whatever it may be that you're practicing. Second house is clear. Second house would be Libra though, so it would be situation about money. Third house is Scorpio, convincing somebody. Fourth house is clear. Fifth house, you have Pluto. That is hate. Death, life, birth. Could be of a child if you're having that situation too. It is convincing somebody in their ego, convincing somebody of God, convincing somebody of strength. Deal with your partner's values, partner's money. Huh. Your second house, no. Your sixth house is Saturn. Difficulties working, or mathematical work, analytical work, accounting type work, serious work. Having the moon there as well is nurturing, work. You may be careful with your work, emotional in your work, or hardened emotions, because Saturn is there as well when it comes to your work analyzation. Seventh house is Neptune and Jupiter. So this is big dreams about your partners. You may smell some sort of drugs or seafood out in nature. This is a lot of seafood. This is a lot of drugs at a social event, or a lot of people at a party listening to music or loud music at a social event. Or Neptune is also silence, massive silence. It is extremely quiet. In your 8th house is Chiron. Nothing you can do right now about a wound of some sort. 9th house is Uranus, teaching about astrology, broadcasting on the computer, benefits of technology, astrology. It could also mean vehicle accident. 10th house is Mars, delays on being quick, seriously annoyed, difficulties with fighting a hard-fought battle. 10th house has that. 11th house is clear. 12th house is Venus, unaware of a partner, unaware of a marriage, unaware of money happening, a money situation, things of that sort. And again, Virgo has coming affinity to Scorpio. So Scorpio is Virgo, Sagittarius is Leo, Capricorn is Cancer, Aquarius is Gemini, Pisces is Taurus, Aries is Libra. That's been the readings for today. That has been quick astrological knowledge. I'm going to be doing more of these. Catch y'all next time.